Welcome back in. It's time for the Business Buzz because there is plenty going on right now. In fact, 9 News business expert Ryan Frazier is here with us. Some of the headlines, right, Ryan? A lot going on?
Oh, so much in the business world, Sam, I tell you. I love talking business. So Black Friday is now just 4 days away. It marks the beginning of the holiday shopping season. And this year, the National Retail Federation predicts spending over the next month could hit $1 trillion for the first time. That's even though the popular holiday gifts like toys, electronics, and clothes are among the most imported and therefore the most impacted by the Trump administration's tariffs. Consumer experts point out that some tech and toy manufacturers have made changes to trim their costs. For example, that can mean you'll be stuck buying the batteries. That wouldn't be the first time. So, Home Depot is noting a slowdown in business and cut its profit forecast for the year. While it's just one retailer, the chain is considered a bellwether for U.S. consumers and the housing market. The company's CEO says even middle-class shoppers are being cautious, and there's a frozen housing market. Mortgage rates have been stuck between 6 and 7%, leading fewer people to buy and sell their homes. According to the Colorado Chamber of Commerce, voters in 6 Colorado counties voted to increase their lodging tax. We told you here on the Business Buzz back in September that voters in 9 counties were deciding whether to raise the tax on your stays at hotels, short-term rentals, and the like. Here's a look at which counties passed the measure and which ones didn't. The taxes will be boosted from, on average, 2% to 6%. The Social Security Administration is changing a decades-old rule for retirees to receive their full benefits. The age threshold will go up starting next year. Anyone born in 1960 or later will have to wait until the age of 67 to get their full benefits. But anyone who doesn't try to get their benefits until age 70 will get a benefit amount increase. You can get benefits if you retire at 62 years old, but you'll get as much as 30% less, Sam.
I'm curious how people that are 59, right there on the cusp, how they're feeling about that, right? It'd be an interesting interview.
You know, it's like the goalpost gets moved, and
yes.
So, but it is kind of the state of affairs with Social Security these days.
And I feel like it is also just like a sign of the times, just everything going on in the whole climate. So quite a few things happening in the business world, but now we're going to change it up and talk about a couple of other business newsmakers, all right? So first, there was a 50-year mortgage idea from President Trump, and now there's something called a portable mortgage.
Right. Let me tell you, this idea is being floated by the Federal Housing Finance Agency, and it's highlighted, as you said, Dan, by the Trump administration. It could really change how homeowners move, but it has some caveats. So let's describe what a portable mortgage is for our folks. So think of it like this. It lets homeowners take their existing mortgage, including your interest rate, with them to the next home instead of having to be forced in today's higher rates. So, for example, let's say if you were locked in a 2.8% mortgage from 2019, 2020, 2021, and today's rates are at 6%. A portable mortgage would let you keep that low rate when you move. And this matters because more than 50% of U.S. homeowners have a rate that is below 4% today. Nearly 80% have rates below 6%. This is all according to national housing data. So people are staying put to avoid giving up those low rates. Economists call this the lock-in effect, and research shows that every 1-point jump in mortgage rates cuts the likelihood of a home sale by 18%.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. So portable mortgages could unlock more inventory along the Front Range and cool some bidding pressure. However, there are some catches.
I was going to say, this sounds too good to be true.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. But tell me, what's the downside?
Well, so one, it's just a proposal right now. So no U.S. lender currently offers portable mortgages yet. And if you're a renter or a first-time home buyer, you don't get any real help or benefit here. You have to have an existing mortgage. But it's also complicated because it would complicate the ability for how the U.S. mortgage-backed securities work. So I won't get into all the detail here today, but many of us who have mortgages, those mortgages are bundled into U.S. mortgage-backed securities sold to investors. And that's predicated on these mortgages being predictable and long-term. Well, now making mortgages portable, it makes it a little less predictable, arguably more risky, and how long is actually long term? And so those things make it a little more challenging. So it's promising for some home buyers, but again, it's not a broad affordability solution, and it's perhaps far from becoming a reality at this point.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I wonder how we could make that work without any downside.
Hey, look, let's be honest. I would love, because I'm one of those homeowners who
Yep.
has been like, hey, rates are a little too high right now. I think I'm
Yep.
going to sit tight. I would love to be able to carry our 2.8% mortgage, right?
You got 2.8.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Yeah. I want to carry that forward to the next home, right? We want a bigger spread. We want a little
Right.
something, the kids can run around. But we're sitting tight.
Okay.
And again, is this going to really address affordability? Well, when it comes to your payment, it could, right?
Yeah.
But does it bring down the cost of a home? Not
Right.
necessarily.
Okay, so it's kind of like a Band-Aid effect.
Yeah.
That he always. Thank you for putting it into layman's
Yeah.
terms, as always. This is interesting.
Yeah.
DoorDash, okay, they had a study in the Denver restaurant industry. What did they find?
That's right, Sam. So the new DoorDash data shows that Denver's restaurant sector is under more pressure than many U.S. major markets. Here's some of the numbers. Of all Denver metro restaurants active on DoorDash last September, only about 90.5% were still open 1 year later. Nationally, the average is closer to 93%, meaning Denver is underperforming.
Right.
So that puts Denver in the fourth lowest survival rate among major cities. For Colorado's economy, this is meaningful because restaurants are a massive economic driver. Industry analysts estimate Colorado's restaurants will generate more than $32.4 billion in economic activity this year, with Denver accounting for roughly half of that. So what's driving the challenge?
Yeah, what is that?
Higher labor costs and food costs, supply chain volatility, and a more cautious consumer overall. And there's also this little fee that many folks pay in Colorado that you don't necessarily pay in some other states. When you use Uber Eats or DoorDash, there's
Yep.
an actual fee that they tack on. So that makes it a little less competitive. So if you're a restaurant these days, you're trying to stay alive in many cases. And, the environment is such, Sam, that, many folks are just trying to find ways to stay profitable,
Right.
to keep consumers coming in the door so they can keep their doors open.
There's so many people that are just, you think about Thanksgiving, there's so much to be grateful for, but it's been a challenging year.
Yeah,
A very challenging year.
It has, and if you're an entrepreneur, if you've launched a restaurant, it now requires more capital.
Right.
Perhaps you need a little more mentorship, stability than any time within the last decade. And I think it's important to remember that this study is reflective of those businesses that are actually using DoorDash, which is not all Denver or Colorado
Correct.
businesses, but it does give you a snapshot
It does.
of what's happening here.
It does. And then you speak of, earlier you brought up, tariffs, and you think about all those small businesses, Small Business Saturday coming up. Definitely support
That's
one
right.
of those small
Get out and
businesses.
support small businesses.
Because tariffs, my husband's a small business owner, and tariffs affect the business.
Yeah.
If you have a tight margin and then all of a sudden you're tacking on a tariff, where do you make up those extra costs,
That's right. Well, and I think that's why you're seeing at the national level, and for that matter at the local level, a lot more talk about not just affordability in housing,
Right.
but affordability in overall cost of living. So that's why, what it was a week ago or so, the Trump administration announced that they're going to scale back tariffs on about 200 food items.
Good.
How long will it take to get to us is the real question, right? When do we, if you will, actually start to feel that relief? So you're absolutely spot on. You have a lot of different pressures, whether it be the tariffs or other regulatory environments, or just a general slowing down of the economy where consumers just aren't buying as much.
Right.
That people are really concerned about these days.
Yeah, and it affects mental health as well. So be kind. You never know what somebody's going through, and we get to see you soon.
That's right. Make sure, tune in for the 11 o'clock hour, where we're going to talk about rural entrepreneurship and how that has the potential to be an engine for Colorado's economy.
Can't wait.